Well, well, we got a boomer shooter with only 16 Steam reviews as of writing this script. I swear I could make endless videos about the sprawling genre that is the modern boomer shooter, but for now, take Hell Denizen. What a weird start screen, and yes, you play as a cat marine. This game does feature a dedicated meow button. Do it enough times and your character, like, vomits meat, I think, and a creature spawns that's supposedly your cat, and when you kill it, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start from the top. Hell Denizen entered early access in July of last year. The last update was July 5th of this year, so it's by no means abandoned and is still being worked on by the sole developer Sousa the Beast. From what I gather, Sousa is Finnish, but fear not, dear viewer, no cruelty squad or fear and hunger depravity here. No, just a cat marine killing demons and aliens. I kind of worry about you sometimes, Finland. Possibly the most interesting thing about Hell Denizen is that it's being developed in the FTEQW engine, which is based on Quake. I can't recall seeing any other boomer shooter released on Steam using this engine. It's quite a pleasant surprise. I mean, nothing against GZ Doom or Unreal or Unity, whatever. It's just nice to see engines you don't see often. It wasn't until well after my Zorch video that I learned that that dev made their own custom engine using C++ with OpenGL, and I find that absolutely fascinating. Anyway, Hell Denizen's story is pretty standard. Demons have attacked Earth and you want to kill them all. At some point, aliens join the fray, turning it into a three-way war. The game, to my knowledge, never explains why you are a cat marine, which is a bit of a shame, but hey, it's still in early access. Maybe some lore will drop eventually. Upon starting the campaign, you were greeted to a pretty familiar opening. Two enemies with their backs to you feels very Doom 2. Enemy health is represented by the crosshair, so green means they're full health, and red close to death. This means no guessing how many more bullets are needed to bring something down. The arsenal is pretty cool. I mean, you got the standard stuff, you know, a shotgun, a handgun that you can eventually dual wield, a machine gun, grenade launcher, etc. But you do get cooler variants such as this laser shotgun thing and a minigun. But all the guns are very fun to use, especially since they all have an alt fire mode with secondary ammo. This opens up more opportunities to clear mosh pits of enemies, which is the first complaint I'm going to make. Honestly, it's the biggest complaint I have. So let's get it out of the way. This game throws so many enemies at you constantly, and every keycard, every door, every bit of progress is met with an ambush. This means you really do need to kill every enemy in a room, because if you don't and decide to pick up that keycard now, the mosh pit will just grow larger. This wouldn't be a big deal if they were kind of rare, but these encounters tend to be frustratingly frequent. Every time I see a keycard, I have to stop and be like, alright, let me get my weapons together. Here comes the pain. And sure enough, the room is filled to the brim with spawns. It's a constant barrage of enemies to the point where it doesn't feel designed or thought out. It feels like it's just throwing a ton of spawns down and calling it a day. Like, there's a lot of cool monster designs who all have their unique attacks, but you don't get tons of chances to see them in action in creative encounters. For example, Hell Denizen has its own Spectre, an enemy that's invisible. The only issue is that I'm having a hard time highlighting it when each encounter is just a giant collage of demon flesh. There's only a few times where the enemies get their chance at a spotlight to show off their unique abilities, but once introduced, they just fall in line with the horde, spewing out a hellstorm of projectiles. Let's compare this to a previous boomer shooter I've reviewed. Let's say Herald of Havoc. At the beginning, the game is easing you into the combat. You fight small numbers of enemies in environments that favor you, whether it's due to having plenty of cover or just general level layout. When a huge encounter does happen, it's far into the game, when at this point you are comfortable with the mechanics and understand your arsenal. It almost feels like a reward when you finally get the call's mass murder. Hell Denizen doesn't wait. It immediately goes 100 miles an hour. There's no build up, there's no pace, it all goes really fast. And this really isn't a knock towards the game, as I think this particular criticism is more of a taste thing. If you like the constant barrage of demons, then this is 100% for you. It does create an orchestra of violence. The sound design is pretty good. The weapons are meaty, especially after getting power-ups.
Yeah, this is my broomstick. Fuck. Ow. Ah, Dutch cheese. Have you now? Dutch cheese.
The soundscape is pretty vast. Imagine my surprise when I heard birds at one point. The only thing missing is an OST. With how fast-paced and intense Hell Denizen is, it really needs some kind of hard-hitting music. Here's me adding a song just to see how it'd go. You know, maybe not the perfect song choice, but I do think some kind of pulse-raising OST would help me lock in to kill everything in sight. But yeah, Hell Denizen is a pretty promising boomer shooter that is still being worked on. There is a multiplayer, but I have not tried it. There's also an endless survival mode that is co-op as well. Pretty standard stuff, and I will be keeping an eye on it as it updates. And speaking of keeping an eye on things as they update, Herald of Havoc was already out of early access, but recently it actually got an update adding a new level as well as updating some of the character designs. That's pretty cool. I got a few other shooters during this sale, and my library already has some that I thought would get more attention but haven't yet. So suffice to say, in between the Saturn games, I'll be sprinkling more of these kind of reviews in there. The whole point is to just give these games more visibility because, man, the boomer shooter genre is huge, and a lot of them are getting covered up, especially by the ones that get a lot more press and marketing. So yeah, let me know in the comments if there's any shooters you'd like to see reviewed, even if they are popular. But until then, I'll see you in the next episode of whatever that may be.